What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to another reaction. Today we got a video from RealLifeLore. We got why planes don't fly over Tibet. It sounds like a really interesting video, so let's get straight into it, man.
Airplanes can travel for thousands of kilometers across the world.
And can be scary.
Men on the moon, and Elon Musk wants to land men on Mars within the next couple of years.
Yes,
the world has been made
I'm all
so
up for
small
that.
by us that it's easy to overlook some of the forgotten parts. For example, airplanes are traveling through the skies pretty much everywhere on Earth at all times.
Yeah.
But if you were to open up...
Bro, if any of you guys been on something like this, like an app on your phone or a website, it's actually mental how many fucking planes are flying at once.
Live global air traffic map
it's mad.
Right now and pan over to Asia, you'll see nothing over this massive area
What
of
the fuck?
continent. Regardless of whenever you do this, it always appears that all of the world's airplanes are simply avoiding this huge area and going out of their way to fly around it like it's some kind of forbidden zone to travel over or fly through. And it's not like this is the middle of the ocean.
It's just a massive mountain.
This is a huge area of land directly over Asia, the world's most heavily populated continent. So, why is this happening? Well, there's a lot of reasons, but before we get into that, you need to know about some aviation history in the region. The dead zone in question is over a geographic region known as the Tibetan Plateau, and it's one of the world's biggest wastelands. After Antarctica and northern Greenland, the Tibetan Plateau is the least hospitable place for humans to live in the entire world.
Oh shit, that was beautiful though.
It's the most sparsely populated.
Holy
it's
fuck.
an area that's over 5 times larger than France, but only has a population of a little over 14 million people across the 7 countries that it spans over.
Wow.
So few people live here because the plateau's average elevation is over 4,500
Holy
meters tall,
shit!
making the Tibetan Plateau the highest geographic region in the world and earning it the nickname the Roof of the World. The nickname is aptly deserved.
Wow, that was insane.
The Roof of the World has been one of the world's biggest obstacles to aviation for decades. The first
So I was right, big ass mountains, man.
large-scale attempt to fly across the plateau was during the Second World War, when the Allies, in what was then British India, needed to airlift supplies into China to assist them in the fight against the Japanese. The route wasn't especially far, simply from eastern India into Kunming in China, a distance of just a little over 840 kilometers. But because they were flying over the remote mountains and high steps of the Tibetan Plateau, the pilots faced extremely violent turbulence. Wind speeds
That's what it'd be, right? The mountains underneath will create a lot of turbulence, right?
200 miles per hour.
Holy fuck.
Temperatures cold enough to freeze their fuel. Inclement weather events that were difficult to predict, and almost no emergency airports that they could divert to in the event of an accident.
Yeah, just avoid this place.
Occasional intervention of Japanese fighters. All of these hazards added up to an incredibly dangerous flight path that over the time span of 42 months saw 594 planes and 1,659 men who were lost in the mountains, never to be seen again. The vast majority of these losses were a simple result of the dangerous elements the pilots were flying through and not a result of enemy action. And for reference, the loss in life...
Bro, imagine the fucking Tibet fucking mountains have taken out more fucking enemy planes than the fucking army has.
The Allied air crews here was even higher than during the entire Battle of Britain against the Germans. In some months, as many as 50% of all Allied planes that flew the route were crashing, which would obviously not exactly be an acceptable loss rate to a modern airliner today. Luckily for the modern airliners, the Tibetan Plateau has been gradually opened up in the...
Wait, is this the Tibet? Oh my god, this building's so big. This is like a Tibet hotel, bro. It actually looks incredible, I can't lie. It reminds me of like a cowboy kind of scene.
The decades since the Second World War. The first airport in Chinese Tibet was built in 1956, and the modern airport in the Tibetan capital Lhasa was built a decade later in 1965. Today, there are 2 significant international airports located on the Tibetan Plateau, in Lhasa and Jining.
So there must be planes that flies in and out, because they go from that point.
Both of these airports primarily handle domestic air travel to and from the rest of China, but Lhasa has a single international flight to Kathmandu, while Jining maintains flights to Taipei, Tokyo, and Kuala Lumpur. So it's true that there sometimes are planes flying over the Tibetan Plateau.
The thing is, they will be well trained and they will know the exact route to go.
In modern times, but almost every international flight between Eastern Asia and the West will go out of their way to avoid flying over it. Take this flight, or this flight,
Yeah,
just as a
mad.
handful of examples. So now that we've
Actually
gone through
mad.
some history lessons, why do most airliners continue to avoid flying over Tibet
Wait, I thought
on
we
their
hit
longer
on the
flights
nail.
today, despite the existence of modern international airports and, you know,
Hit the nail on the head.
being able to actually fly over the mountains? It ultimately comes down to 4 primary reasons that we're going to go through. The first of which is the stupidly huge risk during emergency situations. Think about it like this. The average elevation of the Tibetan Plateau is well over 14,000 feet.
That's crazy,
Airliners
holy
usually
fuck.
cruise at over 30,000 feet. Normally, not a problem. But under certain critical emergency situations, like a cabin depressurization or engine failure event, airline protocol is to descend down to 10,000 feet. In a cabin depressurization scenario, the plane will drop oxygen mask for passengers to breathe, but there's only a limited supply, generally only around 20 minutes. This is intended to be enough time for the passengers to last breathing on while the plane descends down to 10,000 feet, where normal breathing conditions can be resumed. Now obviously, this isn't possible anywhere over the vast Tibetan Plateau that's over 5 times the size of
that's dangerous in
France,
itself.
because the average elevation is over 14,000 feet, meaning that if a plane descended down to 10,000 feet as protocol demands, it would almost certainly crash into
It will almost certainly be a spaceship in Star Wars, diving and leaning and weaving in and out of mountains,
the side
bro.
of a mountain, and everyone would die. If a cabin depressurization happens over Tibet, the only nearby major international airports safe enough and close enough for most big airliners to divert to in an emergency are Lhasa, Jining, Kathmandu, Chengdu, Urumqi, and Almaty. These airports are all hundreds or
Bro, that's far as shit. That's far as shit. Bro, this is like a country away.
thousands of kilometers away from each other, and they mostly ring around the uninhabited plateau. When a plane flies from Kathmandu to Lhasa, for example, Kathmandu and Lhasa are each the alternate emergency airport in addition to being the destination. In 2018, a Sichuan Airlines flight was flying from Chongqing to Lhasa across the plateau at 30,000 feet when a window blew out and it suffered a depressurization event. Fortunately, the pilots weren't very far across into the plateau, so they were able to quickly turn around and divert to the airport at Chengdu for an emergency landing within 35 minutes of the depressurization happening. The deeper an emergency like this happens into the plateau, the more dangerous the emergency becomes because of how far away you can get from any airports to divert to, leading to longer times up in the air without
Bro, if a window blew in my fucking plane, I swear, oh my god.
oxygen.
There's no way. I'd be dead. I'd be dead.
2 for why airplanes don't fly over Tibet. There's just nobody that really lives there, so there isn't really a very big demand. Long-haul international flights between Europe and Asia will avoid flying over Tibet.
Bro, it just says that nobody lives there. 14 million fucking people live there, bro.
They don't want to risk having an emergency situation while flying over it. But there aren't that many shorter domestic flights either because there's just so few people there. The Tibet Autonomous Region in China has just a little over 3 million people who live across the entire massive area, meaning that despite Tibet taking up almost 13% of China's total land, it only accounts for 0.2% of China's total population. The next 2 reasons why long-haul flights avoid flying over Tibet are bad
Wait, is Tibet its own country, or is that a place in China?
turbulence and the risk of jet fuel freezing. When fast winds move across the plateau and the mountains, the wind will often take a wave-shaped pattern that looks like this. And when airplanes fly through this wind pattern, the turbulence can get extremely bumpy, which can further complicate any emergency scenarios. And finally, there's the problem of jet fuel. Theoretically, jet fuel freezes when the temperature gets below -40 Celsius. And while extremely cold conditions like that rarely take place anywhere that jets fly, the temperatures in the air above the already high and cold Tibetan Plateau can get to that point or worse. This isn't really a problem for a short flight through, but for longer flights across the plateau that might last for 6 hours or more, this can become a really significant problem. Ultimately, the big reason why airplanes almost always avoid flying over the Tibetan Plateau to get to their destinations isn't because of any supernatural curse or something like that, but a simple reality that if they were to experience an emergency emergency while flying across, it would perhaps be the most dangerous place anywhere
Yeah,
over the
there's
inhabited
bro, no
Earth's
point.
continents to
There's no
experience
point.
it.
No point
It's a
risking it.
reminder
Fuck that.
despite
Bro,
how
that's
advanced,
insane, isn't it?
connected,
Holy shit.
safe, and small our world may seem, there's still a few wild and remote areas left that are dangerous for us to travel through.
That's actually
if
mad.
you've made it this far into watching, then you probably love
I wonder like what animals live in those mountains.
real life lore, and I'm certain you've probably already heard all about
Really good video. Enjoyed that one. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it too. If you did, make sure you leave a thumbs up, subscribe. If you guys got any videos that you want me to react to, link them down in the comment section below, and I'll see you all in the next video.